What's up, guys? Welcome to G Whiskey. I'm Jeff. This is a channel where I offer my thoughts and opinions on a specific whiskey, and if you stick around at the end, I'll be giving it a score as well. If that sounds interesting, hit subscribe down below, and with that out of the way, let's jump into our review. Today we're looking at the Benromic Peat Smoke Sherry Cask Finished. Stick around. Alright, so we're looking at Benromic today. Benromic is a popular brand, and it's popular for good reason. We're hearing more and more chatter about it nowadays, and not just this kind of chatter. Hey, do you like Springbank? Yeah, me too, but I can't find any. Me too. Do you know Benromic? No, tell me about Benromic and any potential similarities that it has to any other brand. It's a bit like Springbank. You don't say. I do say. Can I try some? Yeah, here. This tastes only slightly like Springbank. Is that what you think? That's what I think. Well, fuck you, you're wrong. It's a lot like Springbank. Disagree. A fight to the death? A fight to the death. So yeah, we're always going to have that Springbank comparison, but I do think more and more the brand is getting recognized based on their own merits and their own whiskey, as opposed to just being a substitute for another brand. And I think that's great. Benromic has some really good standard bottlings. You're a star. And they also have their contrast line, which is their more experimental side. Well, they're not always experimental, but they're often experimental. You get stuff like air-dried oak, kiln-dried oak, you have specific barley strains, you have organic, you have triple distilled. So they're kind of taking a page out of Bruichladdich book, and they're giving us experimental whiskeys done craft. And the craft thing is a big bonus because that's not something we get in the regular range. Now, they are natural whiskeys, but they're low ABV whiskeys. And despite that, they're still pretty well embraced by enthusiasts, which is kind of weird. Very few whiskeys at 43% get the same kind of love from the whiskey community as the Benromic line does, and I think that just speaks to how good their distillate and how good their whiskey is. Despite the low ABV, people love them. Anyway, none of that has anything to do with our bottle here today. This one is part of the contrasts range, but it's one of their much more conventional contrasts. There's no weird barley strain, it's not organic or anything like that. This is just a bourbon matured, peated whiskey finished in sherry casks. Now, I haven't reviewed this one yet on the channel, but I have talked about it before. Last year at the end of 2023, I gave you my best limited edition whiskeys of the year, and this was number one. Not only is it a really good whiskey, but it is very fairly priced. Now, in that video, I mentioned that we've seen this release before, and that's actually not true. A while back on the channel, I reviewed the 2021 Peated Sherry Contrasts release. That one was different from this one in the sense that it was fully sherry cask matured. Meanwhile, this is just a sherry cask finish. The 2021 did really well with people. So far, this one also doing really, really well with people. So whether it's finished or fully matured, peated sherry contrasts tend to be a hit. I'm sure we'll be getting more down the line. As for this one, peated at 57 ppm, it's 8 years old, and that's about all we know about it. We do know that I'm going to like this one, but we're still going to give it a detailed breakdown, so let's jump into our review. In the meantime, if you'll kindly leave a like down below, that would be greatly appreciated. We've got a nice ABV of 46%, it's non-chill filtered, it's natural color. So we've got the standard Benromic bottle look here. Of course, we can make the Soviet font jokes, and I know people don't really like the rebrand and the new look for the brand. I don't hate it, but I don't love it either. I'm kind of neutral on it. So for presentation, we'll give this 2.5 out of 5. This does say that it's non-chill filtered. It doesn't mention being natural color, even though it is. We get 57 ppm, talks a little bit about the casks. We do get some basic tasting notes. We get the year of distillation. We get the year of bottling. It says it's 8 years old. It says it's exclusively matured in first fill casks. So a lot of great information here. It would be nice if they mentioned natural color. So I did not add water here. On the nose, this is smoky and fruity, almost in equal measure. Both our peat and our sherry here are very bold, very loud. I'm getting cherries, I'm getting sweet red fruits, I'm getting strawberry jam. There's buttermilk, caramel, brown sugar, banana cream pie, lots of vanilla in here, and some faint orange notes. Really nice. On the palate and finish, this is bold and richly flavored. Again, big smoke, big peat, big sherry. It's a sweet sherry, sweet red fruits. There's berry jam, banana split. So like whipped cream, vanilla ice cream, caramel sauce, cherry on top, all that. There's also like cola, cherry cola. There's chili, there's some black pepper in here, and there's some bonfire. Medium finish. All right, so obviously I like this stuff. I like it quite a bit, but I do want to say this. This was officially number one on my list of best limited releases for 2023, but it wasn't actually my favorite on that list. The fact that this was so fairly priced and was the cheapest on that list was a factor. And that's not to say that this is not an impressive whiskey. It is, but it's not doing anything surprising or unexpected. If you've had peated sherried Benromics before, then these flavors will be familiar to you. If you had the 2021 release, which was fully sherry cask matured, even this one just sherry finished, very much of the same ilk. It is a typical Benromic profile. Obviously, our peat is amped up. Our sherry here is quite intense. It's bigger than the standard range, obviously at 43%, makes sense. It's not totally dissimilar from the cask strength releases. Obviously, the cask strength ones are bigger, bolder, but our flavors are familiar. Now, granted, this is not the most complex whiskey in the world. It's not too simple either, but it's a loud, dramatic profile. I don't find myself like digging into the nuances here, but they nail the core flavors. Benromic always nails those core flavors. And again, if you're a fan of their other releases, be it cask strength, 10, 15, whatever, you are gonna like this one. And here's an idea for the brand. Why not standardize this release? Instead of a contrast peated sherry release every so often, just put this out as a member of the core range. Fine, you can make it sort of like an annual thing, but make it a consistent release, and I think it would be very well received. That way you could keep the contrasts range for more experimental style of whiskeys, because let's face it, a sherry finished whiskey is hardly unconventional. You guys clearly have access to quality sherry casks. You wouldn't need especially old distillate, like this is under 10 years. So why not? And people would definitely appreciate a fully craft 46% standard member of the core range. I know we get cask strength stuff, but it's either cask strength or 43% and nothing in between, at least as standard releases. So I think it would be a big hit, and I think it would build on the goodwill that you already have from enthusiasts and whiskey lovers. Anyway, just putting that out there, I think it's a really good idea. I usually get about one good idea a month, so that's February covered. Core range or not though, I really like this whiskey. I'm gonna score it 87. Highly recommend this stuff. If you're a fan of other Benromics, you will recognize the profile and you will enjoy it. Now, before we touch on value, I just want to say a big thank you to everyone who is either a channel member or a patron who's supporting the channel. Thank you so much. And if you want to help out with the channel, keep it financially sustainable and independent, there are a number of ways you can help. I have links to both Patreon and PayPal down below. Anything and everything helps. And again, big thank you to those who are already helping. Now let's talk value. Now, I mentioned earlier that when I chose this for my 2023 limited edition whiskey of the year, value was a factor there. There were other whiskeys on that list that I thought were more like interesting, more complex, more sophisticated, whatever. But from a value perspective, none of them could touch this one, and value matters. Fantastic value for this bottle. Here in Taiwan, I paid 50 US for it. I know it is going to be slightly more expensive in other markets, but it's not going to be over the top. Pretty much anywhere you pick this one up, the price will be very reasonable for the quality of the whiskey that you're getting. So highly recommend this one. If you can find it, if it's still around in your market, pick it up. All right, that's it for me today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you want to help out the channel, I do have the Patreon and PayPal, as I said, linked down below. Otherwise, I also want to hear from you. Have you tried our Benromic peated sherry cask finished contrasts? What were your thoughts? How does it compare to the 2021 release? How does it compare to other contrasts? Do you like it more than the standard core range? Let me know all of that down below. Finally, down below, you can also tell me what you want to see me review down the line, and I'll keep it in mind for my upcoming videos. Bye, guys.